Welcome to episode 5 of Virtual GM. I'm Cody.
I'm Spencer.
And today we're going to talk about how people go about booking travel, the relevance that OTAs play in our market, and how you as a business owner can make the most of your property while utilizing all the things that are available to us.
Yeah, right.
Sound good?
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
So I think what we can start off with is let's talk about what you did before you were part of the industry. So if you were going to book travel, what methods would you use?
Yeah, so Cody's asking this because I've been part of hospitality for 6 months?
Yeah, I was going to say 6 months.
That was a quick 6 months. Jeez. 6 months now, and a lot of the times, everyone, I feel like, has the Airbnb app just pre-installed on their phone. So I just jump on Airbnb, but when I would shop for flights, it was almost always on Priceline.
Okay, so when you traveled then, were you usually doing houses more than hotels?
So if we rewind, I almost exclusively stayed in hotels, and then I had a job where I traveled and taught professors how to teach marketing. And because hotels were really expensive in some states, or just depending on the city that I was in,
sure,
we switched to Airbnb. So at that point,
okay.
I made the change.
Your company had you go to Airbnb instead.
Yeah, right. So we made the change to Airbnb, and we actually had to buy our flights on Priceline because the CEO was a firm believer that the prices were cheaper there. Even though we looked, we pull right off the Delta site and right off Priceline, and they were the same.
But you had to go through Priceline.
I don't know what the deal was.
When I was with the previous company, we had a certain platform that we had to use for bookings too, no matter what.
Oh yeah, this was just a nonsensical rule though. There was no rhyme or reason to using Priceline. So Airbnb at first, I've never really been an Expedia guy. One time I booked an Expedia trip and they didn't even get my reservation, even though I could show them
oh yeah,
this is my confirmation number, I'm at the right hotel, and they're like, nope, we don't have it. So after that, I completely nixed Expedia. That's been the majority of it, is right out of Airbnb. I've even booked hotels out of Airbnb.
Would you now, knowing what you know now, is your preferred place to stay still an Airbnb?
No, my preferred place. Airbnb was nice because it had that unique feel to it.
Yeah.
One time I was in this cabin in Alabama, and it was right in the heart of Birmingham, Alabama.
That's cool.
But they had this wooded property. It was off the main roads, and it was an old school cabin surrounded by the whole city.
There's definitely
that was cool, but that does not mean that Airbnb exclusively provides that. I would stay at any one of our properties,
sure, yeah,
over an Airbnb, and then I would stay at any of our properties over a Quality Inn, a La Quinta, a Fairfield, anything like that. And those are good brands, but now being in the industry, I love the unique charm that those properties have.
I would say it's hard for me to even remember before tourism, before I was really in it.
Because it's been how many years for you now?
5? Yeah. So trying to think back before, when we used to travel for my other company, we'd go to our different markets. We were just looking for whatever was the cheapest. So that was probably
yeah, and it probably was
Expedia or something.
Do you remember Google hotels? Back in the day? They kind of still have a feature of it, but it was kind of like Google's answer to Expedia. And Google tried to be
oh yeah, I hear you're talking about.
But now they've switched it. They basically just send all the OTAs to a consolidated Google page,
and you can just see them all.
And it'll say Expedia 214, Priceline 210.
Yeah. So I would say that we probably, if I was booking travel for work, it was just wherever we could get it the cheapest. Mm-hmm. And then I never really had any loyalty of any sort, Marriott, Hilton, none of that. I didn't care. Mm-hmm. And then when we traveled with families, with my family, so our big vacations were usually all-inclusives, in some tropical destination. So we bought into unlimited vacation clubs. So it's if we're traveling to a tropical destination, that's almost it all the time. Except now that we're part of Hilton, because of the benefits of being with Hilton, we went and stayed at a Hilton all-inclusive this last spring break. So I'd say for me now, it's always Hilton or it's unlimited vacation clubs. And I've just never been a fan of the Airbnbs. We stayed in one in Salt Lake this year when we went up to Monster Jam, and it was cool. It was nice because there was space and we're all in it. But it was we left a night early because I was this isn't. I was in a little dwarf basement. It was the ceilings were 6 feet high. I couldn't even stand up straight. of course, there's good experiences there too. Like we booked an Airbnb for Brecken V's wedding, and that was awesome.
Yeah.
Like that experience was super cool. But I think now being in it, I love the security of like booking directly with someone. You know, like even when because Hilton has like their own websites for all their properties, but then unique properties like the Cliff Rose can have their own. I always like to go to that property.
Yeah.
That website and look at it and say what's on here, you know?
Yeah, it's changed now that I'm in the industry because I didn't even know the relevance of those websites before.
Sure.
But now it's like, well, I can always get the better rate there. It's a guaranteed stay. In fact, I was even talking to a potential property this week about that, about how we can create like an ecosystem so that they kind of leapfrog those OTAs and they go to a website and they don't have to pay per booking anymore.
Right.
So now, just to fast forward to that, now I'll always look for that website.
That direct booking.
Yeah, but now I do have loyalty, like it's always helped.
What about, did you utilize TripAdvisor before?
No, I never utilized TripAdvisor.
Never. So I never did use TripAdvisor until I got into the industry, and then I remember because right when I had started, we went to Breckenridge, Colorado, and so I hopped on TripAdvisor after like having been in it and like looked at restaurants and hotels and reviews, and then when we went to somewhere in I think it was in Mexico or maybe it was Florida, I remember looking up like the seaweed on the beach and seeing like if it was really an issue. And they say that 90% of people who travel at some point go to TripAdvisor to review, but I never did until I was in it. But I know how important it is and people are going to it.
I use TripAdvisor, so I'm going to Hawaii in just over 2 weeks, and I use TripAdvisor to look at like which island we should go to. And that was cool.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, so that worked out really good.
I feel like the only time I ever really even booked hotels before travel was like basically Vegas. Then I'd go to Vegas.com and or like whatever credit card offer we had. You know, sometimes the credit cards had special deals. Like I would look at those. But I think it's important to talk about how people are finding you because that's relevant to all of our properties, right? How are people going about finding them? And so I know that a lot of independent properties have like a stink in their mouth about Expedia and Booking.com, and they're not fans of these platforms, which they are a necessary evil, right? Like if they just could not exist, that would be great, but they do. So how do we think about engaging with all those different platforms for properties? I think that's what the people listening to this probably want to hear.
Yeah, it nearly has to be a paradigm shift because the way we've always talked about it, and you have a lot more experience in this than I do, but that it's like, everyone's like, damn Expedia, you know, they're taking 30%, this sucks, you know, whatever. We hear it all the time. Like anytime we bring up Expedia, it's always they're the worst, right?
Right.
I feel like there's a lot of ways that you can look at that. And yeah, like if Expedia is your main way of getting bookings, number one, that's not good, but like...
build a website.
Yeah, but that sucks. But you're also overpaying for your bookings too.
Right.
Like, you should have your OTAs and they should make up a percentage of your booking, but not the overwhelming amount of your bookings.
Yeah, for most of our properties, OTAs represent about 12% of the overall bookings. So they're valuable, but they represent, a smaller percentage. And I think one thing that's important for hoteliers, like we had a new property that just came online 2 days ago, Bungalows in Zion. Check it out, bungalows@zion.com. Amazing property. But they obviously, because they're new, so people can't find their website.
Yeah,
so he's got a bunch of OTA bookings, and the owner was like, "Oh man, like we're giving up so much to Expedia." And I'm like, "Yes, you are, but also it's only, we had negotiated 15% commission, so it's only 15% commission, and we would pay more money in advertising to find that guest than what that 15% commission cost you, right? So let's say that it was a $200 room. Well, 15% of that's only $30. So it's like we'd have to spend a lot more in ads than $30 to get that same guest that we just got, especially as a brand new property. So I think for the property owners who are listening, I think you just have to switch the way that you think about it and think of it more of like a marketing expense than like a commission, and don't think of it as like they're taking money from you. Instead of saying, oh, they just took $30 from me, we should switch that mind frame to they just gave me $170.
Yeah, and it's easy to have that mindset when your OTA bookings represent like 50% of your bookings. Like that property in Florida that we were talking about, theirs were closer to 60%.
Oh wow.
Just Expedia.
That's crazy.
So they shake their fist at the sky and hate Expedia.
Yeah.
Because of the 60% of their bookings that are OTAs, they do have to give 30% of that. And that's a huge chunk of your business where you're talking about you can have a whole ecosystem that reduces your OTA exposure to 12% and you actually get more bookings too.
Right.
12%, that's just another marketing channel for you. That's okay. That's something that you have to have.
And I'm talking about some strategies that we use so that people listening can execute that for themselves. You obviously have to have rate parity with Expedia, so you can't have, and Booking.com, all those OTAs, you can't have one rate on your website and then have it be more expensive on Expedia. You're not able to do that, but you can run promotions. So for example, one of our properties, Water Canyon Resort, they also have a winery, and so they've got a promotion on their website where you book 2 or more nights and then you get a complimentary wine tasting. You're not going to find that on Expedia, right? And so we know that people who book are going to look you up in multiple places. Yep. They're going to look at Expedia, they're going to look at Booking.com, they might check your team's website, look at your social media, they're going to check you out and see where is the best deal for me. And so we like to utilize the strategy of pop-ups, so that way, right when they get to the site, whatever our best, most unique offer is for our guests, it's just right there, whether it's a length of stay or it's a special amenities, it's something, so then they're encouraged, oh wow, I can't get that wine tasting if I book on Expedia. Right. I want to book directly because that sounds really cool and I want to do that.
Do you feel like Expedia is the biggest OTA right now?
It depends. So Booking.com represents a big European chunk, and so it kind of depends on your units too. So the Perry Lodge, for example, out in Kanab, they are 60% Booking.com, 40% Expedia. So it just depends.
Oh, wow.
Some properties sway either way. I think typical hotels, maybe more on Booking.com, but really kind of depends on the consumer. But you got to be on both, and you can't just not participate. So that's another thing too. We had another property that wasn't even on OTAs at all, or TripAdvisor, right? And so even though they can sometimes be a challenge, TripAdvisor really doesn't, because it's really just benefiting your business. It's giving people an opportunity to see what regular people say about it.
And as long as you provide a good service, then
right. If you don't have a good one, then you probably don't want TripAdvisor. But if you're delivering a quality product, I would say go check out the Dwellings TripAdvisor, because they're a new property. They've only been around now for 3 years, and it's almost all 5-star reviews, right? And this is a property with currently no on-site amenities, no on-site staff, so it's amazing what they're accomplishing. And they're in that market though, right? They have their TripAdvisor. Yep. Had they waited a year to put that out, then they would have had a fraction of the reviews. Right. So you've got to put yourself on there, and you can't avoid the OTAs altogether, because all you're doing is costing yourself business. Now, we don't want to be like the property in Florida and have 60% of your business be taken over by an OTA, because we've got to be in the arena. You've got to get yourself out there. And the fact of the matter is, they just have more money than we do. Right? If you go and Google your business, most likely when you Google it, there's going to be 2 ads at the top, and one of them is going to be Expedia, one of them is going to be Booking.com, and maybe even Airbnb. So they're buying your position above you. And if you are not savvy with computers, you don't even know it's different. You just think I wanted to go to the Cliff Rose, and now here it is, and I'm on it. And
they're buying the stuff around that too, like places to stay, St. George, Utah, or Zion National Park hotels.
Right. Oh yeah, they're buying everything.
They're on that rat on a Cheeto because they have the budget.
They have the means. Yeah. So you've got to understand that, and that's a benefit to you. They are spending all of these ad dollars. And so if they're allowing people to find you through their ad spend, but you're offering something unique on your website, then that's going to work out in your favor. So it's not even a negative, it's a positive if you have the right platform. If you're not telling a good story digitally, then they are just going to cannibalize your market. And I think an important thing to talk about too is for consumers, because obviously it's not just hoteliers listening to this, consumers might be listening also. And you want to book direct because we can help you more. Because if someone will go on Expedia and book a non-refundable Expedia rate, and they're not even really paying attention. It's this rate's the cheapest, so I'm going to book this non-refundable rate, and then something comes up as life happens, and they want to move it, or they want to change it, or they want to cancel it. And we actually, as the hoteliers, don't have the ability to even go in and change those. Expedia have to do it for you. And if it's an Expedia non-refundable, then our hands are kind of tied. So we are not even really to help the guest. So our guests are always going to get a better experience booking direct, because we have control. So if something comes up and it's inside of our cancellation policy, but we're humans and there's a human element, that we can be understanding and work with you. But if you book with someone else outside of us, it's hard for us to even have that ability to do that.
Yeah, I was just down in Moab, and I stayed at the Hoodoo, which is the other curio in the state. And when I booked on the Hilton portal, I bet the Hoodoo probably has its own website, right?
You know, I actually don't know.
I wonder. Anyways, it booked on the Hilton portal, and within 5 minutes of the booking, they'd text me like, "Hey, we're looking forward to having you stay." And it was the same text, so they text me, "Looking forward to having you. Welcome to the Hoodoo." They texted me while I was there and said,
"How's your stay?
How's the stay?"
Yeah.
Text me again, "Thanks for coming." Which is great because I left my AirPods there, and I texted them and said, "Please send me my AirPods back."
That's great.
Yeah, so that worked out really good. It's been a while since I booked with Expedia, but I would imagine if you're booking through that channel, you would know this more than I would, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're booking with Expedia, you're probably missing out on even that experience.
And it's a little bit more challenging, yeah. So like if for our properties that utilize virtual GM and have our digital lock system, like a Lynx locks, if you book directly with us, we know you're getting all your communication. The people who often say like, I don't have my door code, where is it?
Right.
What time am I supposed to check in? That's usually the people who have booked on OTAs. Now we do our best to still make sure that they have the information, but you're always obviously getting a better experience if you just go directly through the program. So I would say for consumers, that's the route that I would take. And then for the hoteliers on here, I'd really, do a due diligence for yourself and say, Google your property, look at your website and say, do we have something compelling enough to make someone pay? Because it is going to be a little bit more, because if they're an Expedia guest, they're getting a 10% discount. And so there are some things that Expedia has that allows them to have a lower rate than you. But sometimes it's not the case. It really just depends. And so I'd say make sure that your story is compelling digitally.
Yeah, I just finished the book Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, the Audible version. So I've read it and then I listened to the Audible version because it's kind of like a podcast at the same time too. And he talks about the accountability mirror and how sometimes like you have to look in there and face the ugly truth,
Oh, absolutely.
And so just like Cody said, you definitely have to Google yourself and figure out, number one, does your website even show up?
Right.
Because you don't stand a chance if Expedia is the first thing that pulls up. The reason that our properties only have 12% OTA bookings, which is a great thing, is because their website pops up when you search them, or even the surrounding area, places in Washington County, Torrey, Utah, whatever.
Things to do.
Yeah, things to do, places to eat, sites to see, stuff like that. The sites pop up. Secondly, and this is kind of like looking at your kid and telling them they're ugly, but does your website suck?
Yeah, are your pictures good?
Are your pictures good? Do your links work? Do you have enough information on there? Is your booking system modern, cohesive? Does it take just a few clicks to get through the thing? There's some really great examples out there. If you go to thedwellings.co, I mean, that's a great website that illustrates something. They're tiny homes on a cliff that are really like a vacation rental village.
Yeah, and if you just watch the hero video, it's going to tell you a story and you're going to really understand, oh, this is what my experience is going to be.
It's compelling enough that it makes you want to stay there, and it's far more than any OTA can give you. So while you're already there, you're going to get sold and just book on that website. Your OTAs are important too, because let's say someone doesn't see that and they just happen to stumble on Expedia and make the booking. Right. Well, now they've already stayed with you, and so the next time they go to stay with you,
absolutely,
they will just Google your name because they remembered you went to the Dwellings or Cougar Ridge or whatever.
That's actually,
and then they hit your website.
I'm glad you said that, because I remember at a Utah Tourism Conference, there was this guest speaker who talked about your best customers, the ones you already had.
Correct.
And are you nurturing that, right? Like, so all of the properties we're listening, your PMS is a database of all of your clients. And are you actively reaching out to them and saying, come back and see us? Do you do a guest loyalty program? Almost all of our properties have a return guest promotion. We want to cater to those people who found an affinity for our properties and make sure that they're coming back. And so often you'd be shocked how many properties don't even utilize their database and are just fishing for new customers and new customers and new customers and hoping the existing ones just find their way back. But they're not actually enticing them with anything or any offers or even staying relevant, ending up in their inbox, being on their social media, and being on their social media in a way that's different than what they would have experienced when they were just on property.
Yeah, those existing customers are going to come back, but you do have to nurture them because they are going to come back to the same area.
Yeah.
Like, people who go to Zion often return again, Even when I grew up in Kaysville, which is 5 hours away from Zion, we went to Zion almost every year.
Yeah, my family is always going back to places that we love.
Oh yeah, we're going back to Hawaii and we've been 3 times.
Yeah.
If these hotels did a good job in nurturing us, we'd be going to the same hotels, but they don't.
Yeah.
So that's okay.
Yeah, we just went to the Waldorf in Scottsdale. My family and my kids before school started, and Brett took his family, and we went back because we had such a good experience the first time.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, we got to do this. So we went back, and then after we stayed, they reached out like, we hope you had a great stay. We want to see you back, and it's like, yeah, I'm coming back. Like I want to go.
Of course.
My kids were like, can we do this every year? It's like when they do. So when we walked in, my son just had his 6th birthday, and when we walked in, they had cookies out. The best cookies ever, by the way.
They're Waldorf. They've got to be pretty good.
Gosh, I'm not supposed to eat cookies, but I couldn't help myself. I was sitting on the plate, and I was like looking at it. So I just broke off a little piece to taste it, and then I ate the whole cookie. Like,
how is Wildfit going, by the way?
It's going great. Yeah, I mean, so last week was the last week you can kind of like you can mess up a little bit.
Yeah.
And now the week that I'm in, now it's like you can't mess up because it messes up the whole like metabolism of it, right?
Gotcha.
Like if I have sugar now, it's gonna send my whole body backwards.
So did you kill alcohol already?
Now, yep. So this week there's no sugar of any kind, no grains.
What about natural sugars I can freeze?
I can still have natural sugars this week. I'll lose it next week. No grains, so no breads, so everything that I love that makes me happy. I can't have any of those things. No caffeine either. So, so since Monday, I've had no alcohol, no caffeine.
Natural caffeine though? What about that? Like green tea?
Probably
not coffee.
You have no coffee.
So that's probably green tea.
I don't even think green tea either. Like, so I've been drinking tea this week instead, but non-caffeinated tea.
Gotcha.
And it hasn't been bad actually. Like, I've slept better because caffeine stays in your system for so long, and caffeine is actually a pesticide. Like, plants originally created it so the bugs leave them alone. And so,
really?
Yeah. So,
what?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Caffeine is not good for you.
You're making me rethink my coffee more.
So I'm sleeping way better, and then because I'm not drinking, I'm going to bed earlier, and then I'm reading more because I'm in bed already, right? You know, and so it's been really good. So this is week 5, and I think it's a total of like 15 weeks. So I'm like a third of the way through it. It's brutal here soon. Like next week, because like the green drink I drink today has like fruits in it, and it's good. It tastes good. The green drink I'll drink next Monday. It's just like what a rabbit would eat, just blend it up. So it's not good.
It's 12 weeks, isn't it?
Maybe 12 weeks, 3 months, 90 days. That's right, 12 weeks. So I'm almost halfway. But so anyways, they had the cookie, and then they had a birthday card for him, and it said, "Cash, happy 7th birthday. We hope our 6th birthday we can make it special for you." And then when we went to dinner that night, they knew it was his birthday because it must have been in their records.
Dang.
So the hostess was like, "Happy birthday!" He's like, "Pick out any dessert you want. I'm gonna take care of it for you." And it was just like, whoa, like that's
the room experience is already above and beyond, and then they hit it 8 hours later
at dinner. It was like they really do it right. You know, and I think too, for those of you that are in the industry, it's like once you're in any industry, you can start to get jaded on the industry because you're just in it, just what you do, and like, oh, it sucks. But I would say get out and travel and go visit the places that you want to be like, so you can be inspired. It's like, oh yeah, that's a great thing. You know, that's why it's so important, I think, for everyone on our team to go. And like you just stayed at the Hoodoo, and Leah's going to go stay at a Curio in Portland. It's like you've got to get out to those properties and experience it. So you can be like, oh, this is what hospitality looks like. This is how they're doing. Maybe they're better at something than we are, and we can incorporate that.
Yeah, definitely. Even when I go to Hawaii in 2 weeks, we totally plan on stopping and do like some bar hopping because there's a Grand Hyatt on Maui, so we're gonna hit that. There's a Hilton Vacations Club. Couldn't get the Hilton Vacations Club though.
Yeah, Hawaii is tough. You're not really ever getting deals in Hawaii unless you can check last minute. Like I've seen Waldorf in Hawaii and team member before. Like,
serious?
Next day, yeah.
Oh my god.
Which even if you just rent your Airbnb, we went just for the amenities and stuff for the day. It's
so worth it. Yeah, I'll probably end up doing that. Just checking out.
I would check it every day.
Yeah, I would really check it every day. I did look in Oahu though, and I could have booked a team member in Oahu.
Oh really?
Yeah, there was I want to say a True there, but anyways, I mean Oahu has so many different boutique little properties that we'll go to that have restaurants. Anyways, that'll kind of get the feel for it too.
Right.
That's the hardest part about being in hospitality is the hardest part, right? Damn it, you have to travel and see and experience. Even that owner in Florida that I was talking to, she said that she'll travel and just learn and experience all these different places so she can bring them back to her property and make it better.
Oh yeah, she's doing it right.
She is doing it right, but that's what she wants to keep doing that without having to run the property. And so double-edged sword, right? Like
so she's got to have all of her ducks in a row, so that way when she's out doing all of that, her property isn't suffering.
Correct. Yeah. So, I mean, brilliant woman, really smart. She knows the goal. She's been accomplishing it. Just needs to move the needle a little bit more.
So we talked about, a different thought process of OTAs, that looking at that commission as like a marketing expense and something they're giving you rather than something they're taking away. Right? Pulling your metrics and making sure that, so I think the industry standard is about 12%. So I would say if you're a property and you're listening, go pull your numbers and see what percentage that they're contributing. And if it's more than that, then you've got some work to do.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that's important too is that engaging us in any capacity doesn't cost you any money until you decide. So if you want to have a conversation with Spencer about like, how's my website performing? How does it look? What am I missing? How's my SEO? That conversation is free. So it's like we welcome you to reach out to us, have that conversation, and then if we're not the right fit for you, we can point you in the direction that is, or maybe there's a couple quick fixes that you could do on your own that doesn't require us, but at least you can get someone's opinion, and that opinion is not going to cost you anything. But I'd say check your metrics, check your website, do your Google searches, and act as if you were a consumer. Do a dummy booking and say, what does my confirmation email look like? Are the guests getting all the information that they need? Is it confusing? Is my address actually taking them to the right place in Google Maps? Ensuring that all those little hiccups that a guest can have, that you can eliminate that. And also go through Expedia too and say, what does that process look like? How can I make my process better? Those are all things that you can do for free. And so I'd highly recommend that you go through that.
Yeah, for sure. And we really don't have a secret formula. We're here giving away our best information. There's more that we can expand on, but we don't have like a proprietary software or something like that.
Yeah, what's the guy's name? Alex Hormazzi?
I don't know how to say his last name.
But he says give a bunch of stuff away for free for a long period of time, and then when you have to ask for something, it's easier. And I think we really believe in that philosophy. Like, we just want to share our best practices because we can't work with everybody anyways.
Correct.
So if we can help people along the way and give them information that we didn't have, then that's great.
Yeah, odds are you've been successfully running a hotel or running a hotel without us. It's just easier to do it with us. That's a code phrase that I stole.
That's a good one, right there.
I've said it like 50 times in the last 2 weeks.
That's good. I love that. What else from a marketing perspective? Is there any other nuggets that you think like kind of along this topic that are relevant to put out there?
So much of it is just getting into the weeds. Like when you go into marketing, a lot of it is just creating a healthy ecosystem. And if you're looking at your OTAs, like a top of the funnel, which is like a basic customer acquisition, getting them into the loop, then there's so many different ways just in the arm of marketing that you can take it, where you're remarketing them, sending them promos. That data is yours for life now, and you're not going to be selling it, and they're not going anywhere else. So you can just keep hashing that. The more people that go through your OTAs, the better, which means that the future, the less OTAs will go through them. So you should be able to steadily increase your occupancy, or at least get a good number of repeat guests. And repeat guests are the ones that you want. Seth Godin, who wrote The Purple Cow, calls them sneezers. He didn't say that specifically about hotel guests, but repeat customers who love your business. They sneeze about it. It's like an infectious disease, and it goes around and it travels and it spreads. And they hear good things about the Cliff Rose Lodge, and they hear good things about this, and they hear good things about that.
I definitely have told everyone about my Waldorf experience, or any property I go to, like, you gotta check this place out.
That Hilton property that you brought that band back from. It's the same thing. So, next time I go to Mexico, I'm gonna ask Cody what the name of that Hilton property was.
And I already booked my family's next spring break at the other one.
What do you know?
Because that one was so good, I want to go see another one. Yeah. But I think too, so Kyle was on a couple episodes ago, talked about social media, but be in that space, do the reels. The amount of reach that you can get right now, and some perform really well, and one might get 10,000 and the other one might get 80. You never know, but just keep being active, because that is such a great platform where it's ultimately free for you to play, and you might as well get on that and make sure you're getting seen. And go just check out all of our properties reels. You can go on thevibrantteam.com, look at our properties, and go check out their Instagrams. Because you can just copy what we're doing. You can copy the music that we're using. You can copy the way that we're filming it. None of it is proprietary. So if you see a video that got 10,000 views or more, then make a video like that for your own property.
You know what would be a fun podcast that we should do is have Kyle record, or me and Kyle can do it, but we can record each other making reels. And
that's a good idea.
And say, hey, this is us making the reels, and then let's just check in on it a week later.
We should be doing a YouTube short for that or something.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
And we'll publish it here too.
Anything? Oh, there's my daughter just popping in.
She loves Daddy.
I told her not to make any noise, but she had to. Today was her first day of school, so she's all excited. She's all jazzed up.
That's great. No, I don't have anything more, do you?
I don't think so either. I think just take away that those OTAs are a necessary part of our business, and it's something that is going to be there whether you want it to or not, so you might as well figure out the best way to work with it.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, well, hey, thank you so much for listening. Make sure you click subscribe, and we're going to do our best to keep putting one of these out every single week. So we appreciate everyone who's watching. And Sean Cannell, Think Media, this is episode 5. I'm looking forward to getting a comment from you.
And we press record, so just a heads up, we will be speaking at your conference.
All right, guys, have a great day.